I always said I'd never go to ECW. Like I had because I thought they just swung chairs and bled and that's it. No psychology, no real matches, no nothing. And then I've first seen ECW really when it started, like '94. I'd get up and go to work early in the morning, and so the thing is you catch it like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting meals ready, and so and I'm just, I think I was 17 at the time, maybe 18. And then this was after high school. And then, so I was spraying lawns. We get up early, and I'm like, what kind, it just looked indie, and, and it was in its growing stages, early growing stages. And it was only like maybe a year or two old at that time. So then it started to, do the angles and the blood and guts and I'm like, that's someplace I do not want to go, you know. And then Paul, I knew him, at NWA as Paul E. Dangerously. And, yeah, it was Paul E. Dangerously. But that's from John E. Dangerously, the movie. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So anyways, then the whole thing, and then I'm learning I'm in the business, and then I talked to Ulf Herman and over in Germany, and he went over there in '98, the summer of '98, and he's like, "Oh, it's not like that." And so I'm like, you know what, this is a place I'd like to check out. And he said, "Hey, I talked to Pee Wee the referee, and he traveled with Sabu and Van Dam and Fozzy and all that." So he goes, "No, it's a great place." And I never crossed paths with Sabu. So I get back, and then I have a tryout and I get hired. The third day was second tryout on the third day. And Paul pulled me aside and said, "Hey, how tall are you?" I go, 6 foot. He goes, "What do you weigh?" I go, 275. He goes, "I'd like to talk to you after the show." And I'm like, cool. So after the promos and everything, he has a conversation with me. And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Pee Wee took off. He's like, "I'm out." It was 1:30. This was in Detroit. And he goes, "Do you want a job?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't be here, stick around till 3 o'clock in the morning if I'm not looking for a job. He goes, "Did you ever try going to WCW or WWF?" And at the time, WWF. And I go, "WCW, I'd send stuff in, and I wouldn't even get a letter back. Some of my buddies would get a letter back, saying, 'Hey, thanks for, blah, blah, blah.'" And I was sending it to the same address. And I go, "WWF." And this is literally like 8 months after the camp and all that. I go, "Yeah, Jim Cornette really liked my stuff and got me a tryout in a camp. But when I said Jim Cornette really liked my stuff and thinks, really likes my work," Paul looked off to the side and he goes, "Huh, we agree on something." Just out of like, I didn't understand that, right? But it was like he was thinking and thinking to himself out loud. And then Pee Wee told me, he goes, "No matter what time you get home, call me." So I get home, get situated. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I call him. He goes, and I woke him up. He's like, "Wake me up." He goes, "What did he say?" He goes, "He gave me a job." He goes, "Great." I go, "One thing." And I told him about the whole Cornette thing. He goes, "Oh, yeah, him and Cornette hate each other." I go, "Okay. I'm glad I can bridge that gap. So I'm sure I don't think they hate each other, like personally hate each other, maybe hate each other, hate ways of booking and how they see the wrestling business. But I don't know if they really hate each other. But it was pretty funny though that I bridged that gap. Yeah.
Um, let's talk about Paul Heyman a little bit. When you were in ECW, he would do a lot of the kind of pep talks and speeches to get the wrestlers ready. How did you kind of respond to the Paul Heyman? Some people call it the Kool Aid. Some people call it the pep talks, the speeches. Did they get you going when he would do stuff like that?
Um, like the one pep talk for the pay-per-view, basically it was just him like cutting a promo. He wouldn't do it like every show or anything. When he talked to you as an individual, he might lift your spirits or whatever, but that's any leader will do that. And he was leading the locker room and leading the business into a area where it became successful. Like I think his booking in ECW really helped, like WWE Attitude. I don't know if it was inspiration or motivation that's something you have to ask, you know, WWE creative who at that time, whether it was just Vince alone or, you know, if the reason why he went into the Attitude Era is because of ECW or a number of things, if ECW influence, we don't know, but definitely changed ECW and him, you know, giving pep talks and stuff. I don't really remember like he'd get in front of the locker room and give a pep talk. Maybe once in a while, if there were things that need to be addressed, you know, like, hey, you know, we're getting ready close to get TV and, you know, and all that stuff. And, you know, and things are going, you know, and we're going to do it. And, you know, and then we can reach more households, you know, something like that. Not saying that conversation happened, but like when we went on TNN, you know, that was a pretty big deal. So, whenever you get national TV for any company, it's a big deal, but especially back then. So I don't think like I understand what people say drink the Kool-Aid, you know, and what it references and why they would say it with ECW. Um, but do you know what the story drink Kool-Aid where that came from?
No.
No, it's Jim Jones. He was a preacher, and then
Okay.
he told everybody to drink Kool-Aid, and it was laced with cyanide. 900 people died.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, they fall, but it was a cult, you know.
Okay.
So the reference to drink the Kool-Aid, I didn't mean to call you out on that, but a lot of people don't know. They'll
Good.
say
It's good.
they don't know. Now I'm educating people. A lot of people probably don't know, but heard the expression. So we didn't drink the Kool-Aid because it was a cult and he was like a cult leader. We just believed in that product and we believed in the opportunity we were given. You know, like I believed in the opportunity I was given and I wasn't going to leave until I knew it was done. You know, so like I was called to call Bruce Pritchard and I called him and then he said, "Hey, ECW's done, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Hey, you know, thank you for showing interest, but until it's done, it's more loyalty." Even though I was under contract and Paul worked good with him, it's more of a loyalty thing. If I'm working for you, you know, I'm gonna be loyal to you. Now, if our working relationship comes to an end on a mutual or your end, then whoever I work for, I'll show loyalty to them, you know, or whether what type of whether I'm working for them or married to them or in a relationship with them, whatever that relation, I show loyalty to that because that's the way I was raised. A lot of people were raised like that, but so there was never any real pep talk, you know, like before every show, and there was never. It was just guys were kicking ass, and you know, from what I remember. Now he might have given a little bit here, but nothing significant. That like every day we're going out there and we're getting a pep talk, and you were like, yeah, like you're going into a battle, you know. So